morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
Smoothing splinter ties, South and North Korea, they agreed and confirmed their commitment to hold government-level talks for 2 days this week, the first of its kind in 6 years.
And the two sides certainly seem to have a lot to discuss. Details of that 16-hour-long meeting coming right up in the headlines.
And what do the newspapers have to say about the news item from the weekend? Coming up.
With the fate of a group of young North Korean defectors still unknown, we sit down with activist Park Seok-gil from a global NGO, Liberty in North Korea.
And beneficial for farmers, the environment, and for your health. Visit some new marketplaces sprouting up in Korea, full of freshness, variety, and fun on Korea Today, Monday, June 10, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Working level talks between the two Koreas wrapped up in the wee hours of this morning, and leading the North Korean delegation was Kim Sung-hae, a senior official with North Korea's Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea. And many people were surprised that it was a woman leading the delegation. It was the first time for North Korea to send a woman to be in charge of the talks, but she is known to have 20 years of experience in handling issues related to South Korea, and she's also the woman who escorted former First Lady Lee Hee-ho when she visited North Korea to pay tribute to the late North Korean leader Kim Jong-il.
Yes, I believe many people were surprised. Analysts say that this is North Korea's approach or attempt at a softer and a gentler way, and also keeping in mind the fact that South Korea has its first female president.
She is expected to be at the government-level talks this Wednesday, so we certainly will see more of her.
All right, for more on your headlines, we have Na Hyung-kyun coming up.
As you just heard, negotiators from South and North Korea met at the truce village of Panmunjom on Sunday ahead of their upcoming inter-Korean talks. This comes after months of escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula. Our Unification Ministry correspondent Hwang Sang-hee has the details.
After a marathon negotiation, the two Koreas have reached an agreement to hold their upcoming government-level talks in Seoul on Wednesday for 2 days. It is widely expected that South Korean Unification Minister Ryu Gil-jae will lead Seoul's 5-member delegation.
South Korea will be represented by a government official who can negotiate and resolve inter-Korean issues in a responsible manner.
It was a long day for officials at Sunday's working-level talks held in the truce village of Panmunjom in the demilitarized zone as they paved the way for the upcoming discussions. Negotiations opened Sunday at around 10 a.m., but stretched into the early hours of Monday morning. The two Koreas agreed on the need to discuss the normalization of the Kaesong Industrial Complex, reopening the Mount Kumgang Resort to South Korean tourists, as well as resuming family reunions for those separated during the Korean War. However, they failed to see eye to eye on whether to include in the main agenda the issue of jointly celebrating the anniversaries of the June 15th and July 4th inter-Korean declarations, as proposed by Pyongyang. Despite the differences in opinion, an official at Seoul's Unification Ministry said the atmosphere of Sunday's talks was amicable, a possible sign that the North and the South came to the meeting looking for an exit to months of escalating tensions. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
President Park Geun-hye, meanwhile, will convene a meeting with her foreign affairs and security-related ministers Monday afternoon. The president with her top officials are expected to discuss the agenda of the upcoming inter-Korean government-level talks and analyze the recent sentiment from North Korea towards the South. This is the third meeting of its kind since President Park took office, with the first two being held in April, both on North Korea-related issues. The summit talks between U.S. President Barack Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping over the weekend is also expected to be discussed at Monday's meeting. The two leaders agreed that they will not accept North Korea as a nuclear state and will not tolerate any kind of nuclear development by Pyongyang. The National Assembly will hold a government inquiry session for the next 4 days. On Monday, lawmakers will start with political issues focusing on the National Intelligence Service's alleged involvement in swaying public opinion in last year's presidential election. The recent sexual harassment scandal involving former presidential spokesman Yoon Chang-jung is also expected to take up some portion of the questioning session. On Tuesday, government officials will be grilled on foreign affairs and security-related issues, followed by questioning of economic and social matters on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. Korea may get some respite from its power supply crisis as one of the nation's 10 nuclear reactors under maintenance has been approved to resume operations. The country has been battling sagging power reserve levels after two of the nation's 23 reactors were suspended operation last month. Now on Sunday, the Energy Ministry said Hanbit reactor number 3 in Korea's southwestern Jeolla province, which went into repair last year, will start generating electricity from late Monday afternoon. But because it will be from the afternoon, power authorities say they are on alert for a possible power shortage on Monday. Korea issued warnings last week after its power reserves dropped below the normal level.
Happy Monday, everyone. Yesterday's working level meetings between the two Koreas wrapped nearly at 4 o'clock this early morning, and it is the top news item in several of our newspapers today. So let's go ahead and begin with 동아일보. Now, its headline reads, painful marathon negotiations over June 15 event and North Korea representatives. The paper notes that though the meetings began on Sunday morning, they were not wrapped as of 2:30 this morning. That must have been when they went to print. And that, as the headline notes, the two main points of contention were over whether to proceed with a June 15th event as requested by the North in celebration of a landmark inter-Korean cooperation agreement, and over who would represent the North Korean side come the 12th, that is this Wednesday, for the launch of those two-day ministerial level talks, or rather, if they have become government level talks as of this morning. It also says that while there was agreement on reopening the Kaesong Industrial Complex and the Mount Kumgang tours, there was also contention on the wording declaring such a document. For instance, the South calling to include a clause that would prevent a reoccurrence of such a shutdown, while the North's delegation simply wanted to use a generalizing term such as, quote, normalize. Now, the two sides spent the day engaging in a number of sessions yesterday and throughout this morning, with recesses in between. Meanwhile, the front page image shows the aftermath of a local high school baseball game. That's the National High School Baseball Championships, and Deoksu High School's baseball team took home the top prize, and it is the school's 4th such victory. So congratulations to them. All right, let's go ahead and scoot on over to our second newspaper for today. Jungang Daily's main headline reads, North's Kim Song-hae appears to represent North's conciliatory approach toward the South. And there she is there. First off, the article paints a picture of the arrival of Kim Song-hae, the North's chief negotiator and a senior official from the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of the Fatherland. And it says at 9:43 a.m. Sunday, a woman in a blue-green suit, accessorized only with a Kim Il-sung Kim Jong-il badge and a white handbag, stepped out of a black Mercedes-Benz E240, and her pointy shoes were memorable, the reporter writes, as the elite government official, believed to be a graduate from Kim Il-sung University, greeted the South's delegation led by Chun Hae-sung, the head of the Unification Policy Office at the Unification Ministry, with a bright smile and 반갑습니다, or great to see you, or good to meet you. Now, the reporter who's pictured down here, who had met the lady negotiator back in 2005 when she was an event personnel, remembers her as sporting fashionable suits and bags even then, matched with her approachable and unreserved personality. So noting there some of the, I guess, dialogue or the mood perhaps that was seen during the meetings yesterday. And scooting over to Joseon-ilbo, it has a handshake between the representatives of the two Koreas as its image. Meanwhile, the headline below it, takes us to the U.S.-China summit talks that happened in the desert city of Rancho Mirage, California over the weekend. And it reads, U.S.-China leaders united in not tolerating North Korean nukes. Basically sending a message there that U.S. President Barack Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping expressed full agreement that North Korea does have to denuclearize, that neither country will accept North Korea as a nuclear-armed state, and that the two countries will cooperate and dialogue to achieve that end. And we have similar stories over at Gyeongyang Shimun, as you can see there. So we'll go ahead and scoot on over to our Korea Economic Daily for a business headline. The headline reads, 22 countries open service industry. Korea participates in what's called TISA, T-I-S-A, and that stands for Trade and Services Agreement. And according to this insert right here, it is currently in the works between 21 countries, including the U.S., Australia, Japan, and EU nations, with a goal of getting rid of trade barriers in the service industry related businesses such as construction, culture, and distribution. And the article reports that Korea has jumped into the mix, bringing that number of states to 22, and that the Seoul government will submit related agenda items to the National Assembly this month.
Eunice, let's go back to the biggest story of the day, that is the working level talks between the two Koreas.
Of course.
Like you mentioned, one of the biggest points of contention was who would lead the North Korean delegation, and they were wrangling over that and made us wait for the results until 4 in the morning.
That's right, very late in the morning. And on Seoul's part, it seems that Unification Minister Ryu Kil-jae will lead the Wednesday-Thursday meetings, and Seoul's delegation has pushed for the North to send Kim Yang-gun, who is the North's director of the United Front Department of the Working Party, who is also seen as Ryu's counterpart. Now, back in April, Kim was the one to announce the decision to pull out all of the North's 53,000 workers from the Kaesong Industrial Complex, as you remember. And because there is a range of important issues on the table to discuss, it's the position of the South that anyone junior to him would not suffice. And as we mentioned earlier, it was supposed to be a ministerial level meeting, so it wouldn't be such without the ministers present.
And there's plenty of attention on the top negotiator, Kim Song-hae. Of course, the question is, we did mention a little bit earlier, North Korea is trying to show a softer and a gentler side. Did the newspaper have any kind of an analysis, anything further about why they chose Kim Song-hae?
Well, it's funny you should mention it, because Jungang Daily actually did mention that with the introduction of Kim Song-hae as the chief negotiator this time around, they wanted to show a softer side, and also that it was in consideration for South Korea's woman president, perhaps. But to add to that, they're saying that perhaps the North thought by sending a sophisticated and refined negotiator that could encourage amiable feelings in the face of deteriorating relations between the two countries. Others also noted that she is one of the last standing North Korean officials who deals with South Korean issues from past presidencies, including the Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun administration. So certainly a lot of conjectures out there.
20 years of experience under her belt. She certainly knows her stuff.
Right, she's not just a pretty face, it seems. Well, that does wrap your look at what's in print on this Monday. Here comes your market action from Friday.
Across the world, in 150 offices, people are raising their voices for the freedom of North Koreans. The group Liberty in North Korea aims not only to help those suffering in the North, but to bring about changes around the globe. That's coming up later. And on the weekend, temperatures rose to as high as 34 degrees Celsius. I almost melted like butter.
Yes, definitely. It does really get up there these days. I was really tempted to use the air conditioner, but I used my fan instead just to help out on the energy thing that's going on these days. And for more of a look at the weather today, we'll go to Dami.
Good morning, Dami.
Good morning.
Oh, well, good morning, everyone, and way to go, Yang, for saving energy there. Happy Monday morning. I am reporting live from Yongin, Gyeonggi Province. Now, this Monday morning, we're starting the week off with beautiful, clear conditions. The sun is out and about. There aren't apparently no clouds in the skies. It looks like we will be seeing mostly clear conditions throughout the day. The sun is quite bright. As you can see, I can barely open my eyes right now, so maybe a pair of sunglasses this morning won't hurt at all. Now, current temperatures right now are about 21 degrees Celsius, fairly warm, but still it is very beautiful. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the temperatures across the nation. Now, over in the nation's capital, conditions will be the hottest with lows at 21 and highs soaring up to 32. Daejeon and Daegu will look quite hot at 30 and 28. Temperatures in Gangneung, Busan, and Jeju look a tad bit cooler with highs at 24, 25, and 24. Now tomorrow, I hope that we could be seeing clearer conditions, but it looks like we will be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Also, there are chances of sporadic showers in the afternoon, so when heading out tomorrow, you may want to carry your umbrellas. That's all I have for the forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
Thank you very much, Tommy, for today's weather forecast. And as you saw in our headlines as well as in print, a lot has happened between South and North Korea. But the fate of the 9 young defectors who were repatriated back to North Korea from Laos, we haven't heard that much about them.
About a week ago, all the South Korean media outlets covered this story extensively, but now they've seemed to move on to another big story, the dialogue between the two Koreas. But this issue of North Korean defectors is something that has yet to see a major breakthrough. And for this group we're about to meet next, it is something that has yet to be forgotten. So take a look.
Liberty in North Korea, or LINK, was first founded by second-generation Korean Americans to raise awareness about the absolute poverty and persecution North Koreans face under an oppressive leadership. We sat down with Park Seok-gil, Director of Research and Strategy at LINK, to learn more about the organization.
We operate mainly in 3 areas. The first area is working with North Korean refugees. So we identify North Korean refugees who've already escaped from North Korea, but they're in China and they're in danger of being caught and then forcibly repatriated back to North Korea. And so we can find these people and then help them come through the so-called modern underground railroad all the way through China and Southeast Asia. And we do quite a lot of media work as well. And the idea is to kind of get the focus on North Korea away from the high politics a bit. You know, North Korea, as everybody knows it, as like Kim Jong-un and nuclear weapons and missiles, and trying to shift more focus towards the North Korean people and the society and the kind of changes that are actually happening in North Korean society as well. And then lastly, we work on long-term people-focused strategies to try and promote change actually inside the country.
The annual number of defectors had been on a steady rise until 2011, but in 2012, it saw a dramatic 44% drop. It's believed to be largely due to heightened security along the North Korean-Chinese border.
What do the North Korean defectors tell you about living in North Korea and about their leader, Kim Jong-un?
Well, a lot, I guess. There's a lot that they tell us, and that's one of the most important and also interesting parts of my job, I guess. And you know, it really scratches beneath the surface that most people are aware of, the kind of security or militarized state, and even, the opposite side, which is the political prison camps or, starving children. There's actually a massive society of 24 million people, which is beneath these two extreme levels. And, basically they're just regular humans like you or I. They're just living in a very repressive society, and it's really a government which is trying to micromanage their lives. And the effect of that is kind of an enforced poverty. North Korea is kind of at the level that South Korea was maybe in the 60s or maybe 70s, and actually North Korea is even poorer than it was in the 70s. So this is a result of the North Korean government's attempts to just control everything in a totalitarian way, and it just basically has the effect of keeping the North Korean people poor.
Although the world seems to have moved on to other developments, we were curious about the status and whereabouts of the 9 young North Korean defectors who were arrested in Laos and forcibly repatriated.
Now, based on your experience, what do you think will happen to them?
Well, the standard for repatriation is normally from China, and so the Chinese authorities will, identify or catch North Korean refugees and then forcibly send them back over the land border into North Korea. And then the absolute basic level of punishment there is a period of about 3 months of interrogation. Now, interrogation in North Korea basically means you get tortured, you get beat up, and sometimes very badly, and people do die in these kind of facilities as well.
For these young North Korean defectors as well, you think?
Yeah. For that level of punishment, they don't really discriminate. Then after that, it depends on what they suspected you of being involved in China. So if they suspected you of being involved with any kind of religious activities or meeting with South Koreans or other foreigners, or if they suspect you of trying to go to South Korea, then the punishment really increases, and it could be months of forced labor or even being sent to a political prison camp.
Link has established branches in 150 countries around the world through a public awareness program called SHIFT. The organization aims to shed light on the struggles North Koreans face, often overshadowed by political issues.
I guess the biggest challenge is that, it's a really long-term game, and it's hard to see, concrete progress on a day-to-day basis, apart from kind of the North Korean refugees, the individual North Korean refugees that we help. In the short term, it doesn't really look that positive, so we really have to look to the long term. As a bigger picture, it's hard to see North Korea really, changing in a positive way day by day, but we just look at the kind of long-term social changes that are happening inside the country that North Korean refugees tell about us, and then that does give us hope for the future.
Defectors who escape their poverty-stricken homeland do so in search of freedom. They say it's to experience freedom even if it's just once in their lives. Park Seok-il says it's these people that are the hope of North Korea.
So your efforts seem rewarding, yet it's clear that we're not going to have human rights situation, this problem resolved in North Korea overnight. What motivates you to continue?
What really motivates me is actually the North Korean people's potential. It's not because of the kind of extreme human rights violations, or it's not because of the extreme poverty that's in North Korea either. I've realized that the North Korean people have a massive potential, that if that country can change, if the kind of governance system, the regime changes or transforms in one way or another, then I really believe that the North Korean people will develop their country up, to kind of catch up with South Korea and with China and with the rest of the world. And I believe that will happen in our lifetime. So that's what really motivates me.
And Mr. Park has also met with a Swiss documentary team that is putting together a piece comparing the economies of South and North Korea. So Mr. Park is going around the world meeting with different people to raise awareness on the issue.
Exactly. His organization is doing a lot of good cross-country trips across the United States, raising awareness, like you said, about North Korean defectors as well as their human rights. And also, you mentioned documentaries. They make documentaries of their own as well.
And it's good to hear that at least one person does believe that that this will happen in our lifetime. So
Right.
if you want to support, you can always visit their website as well and make contributions and make donations as well.
That's right, libertyinnorthkorea.org.
It's 7:25 a.m. on Korea Today, and we have a lot more coming up for you. If you're into marketplaces or looking for something a little bit out of the ordinary, then this might be for you. Still ahead, head on to fun and vibrant marketplaces full of eco-friendly and healthy produce and goods. We'll take you around some of these markets that are bustling with excitement.
Yay!
I'm Chun Sung-cho, and it's time for Hot Clicks. We had one blazing hot weekend, and I'm sure many of you in Korea had to survive it through with the help of air conditioning. Due to this early summer heat and also the shutdown of a number of nuclear reactors, Korea is facing the possibility of power shortages this summer. So more people are thinking about creative ways to reduce energy consumption, and we're now hearing a lot of buzz about appliances that do not need any electricity. For example, some companies have come up with a hand-powered manual washing machine and a water purifier that runs without electricity. The only downside to the water purifier, though, is that it doesn't supply you with hot and cold water, but still filters your water clean and safe, so no problem doing its job. And there are also mechanical bidet toilet seats that use natural water pressure instead of relying on power. Hopefully, this eco-power-friendly appliance trend will help bring down power usage across the country for now and also for the future as well. Next up, how many of you get to eat breakfast in the morning? Well, I don't most of the time because I usually don't have enough time to cook in the morning, or I just simply get too lazy. And you'll know Koreans cannot live without their rice, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to cook rice, so there goes my breakfast. But no worries, there's a solution for everything. A blogger recently uploaded a guide on how to cook rice in 5 minutes. All you need is some rice, a mug, and a microwave. Fill up 1/3 of the mug with rice. That should be about 1 serving. Next, pour water into the mug up to 1.5 centimeters above the rice and put a lid on top. Finally, put the mug into a microwave and heat it for 2.5 minutes. Let it sit for 1 minute and then heat it for another 2.5 minutes. And there you have your serving of rice in 5 minutes. This looks like it'll be really useful for those who want some rice on the go or people who like to cook in smaller portions. The monsoon season in Korea is not too far away, and for those of you who are constantly worried about getting your phones or other gadgets wet, this may be the perfect solution. It's a special coating that uses something called nano gas, called the Nano-defense. It consists of nanoparticles, meaning particles as thin as 1/2000th of the width of a strand of hair. And these particles are used to coat smartphones, tablet PCs, and other devices, you name it. The coating is designed to make the devices water resistant and also to keep dust particles out. As for the cost, you can expect to pay about $50 to get your smartphone coated and around $90 for a tablet PC, so it looks like it's a good investment for a possible disaster in the future. Next, I have some heartwarming news for you about a young hero. A few days ago, an intoxicated man accidentally fell off the platform while an oncoming train was speeding in. What saved him was a university student who jumped down and dragged him to safety, missing the train by a bare 3 seconds. This brave student received a plaque from the State Rail Administrator, Korail, expressing its gratitude, as well as a special pass that will allow him to use the train service for free for the next 3 years. But what could be more rewarding than having saved someone's life? Last but not least, a spoof music video uploaded by the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency has gone viral recently. The clip is about school violence, but yet it contains witty lyrics and an eye-catching performances put on by the actual police officer. So I'm not surprised that it has received about 40,000 hits so far. Korea is continuing its efforts in combating school violence, and this seems like another effective way to get students and the public interested, and also to get the message out. This has been Hot Clicks, and here's a video for you guys. See you next week.
거들먹거리는 너의 그 모습은 네가 생각한 것처럼 좋은 모습은 아니야 으쓱함에 휘두르는 폭력 누군가에게 오싹한 경험이야 예전에 너도 학교에서 이놈 저놈에게 맞았었잖아 그건 고통이야 너도 알잖아 서로 싸워봤자 남는 건 없잖아 날 때리지 마 날 때리지 마 날 때리지 마
Interesting song.
Yeah, interesting way to get people and students and parents also in preventing school violence, certainly.
I didn't know a song titled Don't Hit Me could be so comical, right? Don't hit me, don't hit me.
I should be saying that to you.
Has he?
That's true. All right, let's talk about temple food now.
That's right. If you have ever tried temple food, then you'll know how nutritious it is. It's not salty nor sweet, and it seems to be becoming very popular around Korea.
Right, a large-scale event was held in Seoul about temple food, so we'll take you there.
Health and healing are two popular words these days in Korea. And we're at a food temple feast full of nutritious foods. The dishes are a treat to the eyes as they highlight the natural flavors and colors of each ingredient, all fresh from nature.
The food heals people spiritually. Temple food revives your health.
There are 12,000 different types of edible vegetables in Korea. Monks have been consuming them for many, many years. Today, everyone around the world considers temple food crucial to a healthier life, calling it a path to healing and well-being. We don't want to keep temple food only to ourselves, so we strive to share it with others.
And one of them is Buddhist nun Venerable Sunje, a renowned expert in the temple cuisine.
상추고 이런 것들이 너무 예쁘게 자랐네. 면역력을 키워주는.
The Venerable Sunje has long worked to popularize temple food, based on her belief that people should not go against nature. Temple cuisine was originally created to cater to the strict vegetarian diet of Korean Buddhist monks. Temple food excludes not only meat, but also strong spices such as garlic and green onions.
Temple cuisine excludes meat, fish, alcohol, processed food, and 5 strong scented vegetables, including green onions, garlic, onions, and wild chives. You call something temple food when you find ways to promote respect for nature through your eating habits.
Many say that temple cuisine has medical benefits because it only uses ingredients that are in season and uses no artificial seasonings.
The main ingredients are seasonal vegetables. The providence of nature is not disturbed, and by eating unseasoned or genetically unmodified foods, the body becomes more in tune with nature's rhythm. The person gains perfect energy that is in tune with nature.
The Venerable Sunje says that prior to eating, you should express your gratitude towards the life contained in each dish, as well as the dedication put into making it. The Buddhist nun was diagnosed with hepatocirrhosis 26 years ago. She believes she was only able to fully recover by eating temple food. Since then, she has been spreading word about the health benefits of temple food and continues to work to spread the cuisine.
모든 야채는 뭐야? 약입니다. 약은 뭐하고 통하냐? 독하고 통합니다. 우리가 좋은 음식에다가 뭘 집어넣게 되면 어떻게 되느냐? 약이 아니고 독이 되는.
I believe that temple food is beneficial to our bodies and that we should only eat dishes that are in season. I also thought that preparing food with methods that our mothers used in the past is the best.
I learned how to make temple food, and I think that I will be able to make it on my own.
Making temple food and spreading word about it is a lifelong mission for Venerable Sunjae. She continues to work on promoting it not only in Korea, but also around the world.
Temple cuisine has a 1,700-year-long history. It's a tradition. Through temple food, monks have been able to practice Buddhism. In temple food, one can find respect for life and health. Foreigners like temple food very much, and they actively seek it out. We have been promoting temple food to other cultures for a long time, and in the future, it will not be limited to Korea, but shared around the world. Temple food is a culture that transcends borders and religion.
A temple food festival with leading experts. Temple cuisine is more than just a type of cooking. It is a cultural heritage of Korea. With its various health benefits, temple food will continue to make its way across the world.
Looks very good. Nowadays, there's a lot of foods out there with so much preservatives, MSGs, salt, sugar, all kinds of different stuff. And at the same time, I think I should maybe make that switch to temple food, try something a bit more healthier. I've been eating too many mystery meats. Meat that's not really meat, but looks like meat.
Right. And whether intended or not, it does help you lose weight. So I think it'll be great for people who are health conscious, like Yang.
Thank you.
Well, all vegetables.
Obviously, I'm not that health conscious right now.
It could be a little bit more. We all could use a little bit of that, right? As she said, all vegetables are medicinal.
There are a lot of great foods out there in the temple food industry, so you might want to check that out and try your chances at a temple food restaurant. You'll love it.
A young lady is waiting for us to join us.
Yes, she
right,
is.
Are waiting for us to
I have a
her.
feeling that our theme today happens to be health conscious, so we'll see what Tommy has for us. Tommy, over to you.
Good morning. Back to you.
There she is.
That's right. Talking about healthy, you'll love what I have in store for you right now. I'm reporting live from Yeonmihang Village, a place that is full of jung or affection. Now, the village received its name because it represents the nature of farming and the taste of tradition. Yeonmihang Village is widely known because of the eco-friendly organic farming techniques that they use in order to grow their own rice. Now, one way is the water that they use, which is from one of the cleanest water conservation zones. And the other eco-friendly method is by using these fresh river snails. All right, so right here I have not native fresh snails, but golden apple snails, because apparently they consume more grass than the native ones. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put them into the water and let them just disperse into the water like this. Now, when it comes to farming, most of the farmers are going to say that weeding is the most difficult process, and that's exactly why I just put these snails into the water, because what they do is they don't eat the grass or the rice, but they eat the grass within the water, which is the weeds. So that's the most important part. And I love this pink color right here. You're probably wondering what that is, but this is the nest or the eggs of the snails itself. I think they're just beautiful with the green and the pink and the contrast. Now, here at Yeonmihang Village, like I mentioned, they use these eco-friendly techniques. And right here, that's a little heavy. All right, 도와주세요. 네. Okay, so this right here is the finished product, the rice that they make here. And they said that because it's that you can just eat it because it's made for the eco-friendly. 감사합니다. So here at the village, not only can you see these fresh produce, but they have a experience program where you can taste these traditional foods. Also, they have these camping grounds that families and friends can come and enjoy Mother Nature. So if you haven't come here already, then definitely this is the place to come and just see how these fresh produce are grown. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
Alrighty, good Monday morning to you all as we start things off with some big news from big boy Lee Dae-ho over in Japan. Now, the South Korean slugger hit a home run in his second straight game against the Yokohama Bay Stars, his 10th home run of the season. Now, he will finish off the game going 2 for 4, raising his average to .330 as the Oryx Buffaloes won this game 5-3, your final score. And of course, staying in baseball, but back here in the nation, action-packed Sunday in the KBO as we take a look at a few games that took place yesterday. And starting off the most exciting game of the day, the Hanwha Eagles taking on the SK Wyverns. Let's take a look at the highlights from Incheon. Now, of course, going into the game itself, first inning of the game, Lee Jae-won single to center scores a pair as the SK Wyverns take an early 2-0 lead. Now, going over to the third inning of the game, here he goes once again. Chejung driving one deep to left field. A solo shot as SK takes a 3-0 lead. Of course, SK up 4-0 in this game. Hanwha starts rallying in the 8th inning thanks to Chung Bo-mo's 2-run dinger. Cuts the deficit to 4-2 SK before tying it up in the 9th with 2 runs, and this one goes to extra innings. Now, both teams scoreless until the 11th inning when Hanwha lights it up with 4 runs in the inning, including a 2-run single by Kim Tae-won as the Hanwha Eagles rally to take this game 8-4 is your final score. All right, next up, the red-hot Nexon Heroes taking on the struggling Kia Tigers. First inning, Lee Yong-gyu scores from third on an E2 before Big Choi Che-hees up. He's going to make this 2-0. Kia Tigers with an RBI double to center field. And of course, next up, a great season for this next guy as well. The left fielder for the Kia Tigers, Na Ji-won, a 2-run shot as the Kia Tigers take a 4-0 lead. Now down 6-1, Nexon starts rallying in the 8th inning thanks to Lee Sung-yeol's 2-run double, but the rally is cut short as the Kia Tigers hang on to take this game. 6-4 is your final score. And now scores from other games. The Samsung Lions sweep the Tucson series, taking yesterday's game 4-2, and the Lotte Giants beat the LG Twins. By the way, LG Twins really hot as well, but 8-2 was the final score, and those are your final scores from the KBO. And with that said, moving on to the World League International Volleyball Tournament that's taking place right now here in Korea, as Team Korea took on Finland for the second time in the tournament. Now, after losing to Finland straight sets on Saturday, Team Korea came back on Sunday as this match goes to 5 sets. Now, great game from Park Cheol-woo, but Korea fails to beat Finland once again, losing 16-14 on the 5th set. Of course, with the loss, Korea is currently 2-2 with 7 points and looks quite doubtful in advancing to the next round. And now finishing things off with the Wegmans LPGA Championship. Park In-bi, after a disappointing outing in the past few weeks, looks to come back strong in this event. And what do you know? She's actually on pace to win once again. Now, with the South Korean finishing the second round tied for second, comes back on the next day in third round, doing pretty well. But on the final day, currently after the 16 holes, she is at 6 under par, which is good for first place. Catriona Matthew is 1 stroke behind her at 5 under. Shin Ji-hye, after 17 holes, she is at 3 under, with Chen Ayan finishing all 18 holes, and she is at 2 under par. And that's going to do it up, wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
ziplining.
Right, I want to be there and not here.
You've done that before, right, Jesse?
Yeah, several times for Korea Today. Very fun.
Okay, but you're obviously not going to be here talking about ziplining today. I understand there was an agriculture festival that took place in front of Seoul Square.
Yeah, absolutely. These days, Koreans are becoming more and more conscientious of the food choices they're making. A lot more people are becoming interested in organic and locally grown foods. And there's a lot of markets that have been cropping up around Seoul selling vegetables that are actually grown right here in the city. So let's take a look. Recently, the Korean Chamber of Commerce conducted a survey on 500 homemakers asking them about food safety. 40% replied that they have had concerns about the safety of the food they eat. This kind of sentiment has led to a spike in sales of organic foods at large supermarkets. Organic is at the center of attention when it comes to dining these days. This eco-friendly trend can be felt in schools. Middle and high schools usually have small stores such as this, but this one is unique.
So everything's organic over there.
Yeah, and it's actually the parents of the students that are running the store to help ensure the quality food and snacks are provided, and all profits are reinvested into projects for the students.
It says Uri Meal, made in Korea, right?
Yep.
The way mothers see it, food sold in regular stores aren't healthy, so we decided to take on the responsibility.
And of course, you know, the kids still get to enjoy the snacks they
It's
love,
good.
but healthy as well.
I feel like I'm getting healthy by eating here.
This is a small vegetable garden in Seoul tended by urban farmers. Pak Sun Hong is up early in the morning to tend to the freshly growing vegetables. Pak has two jobs. She's a florist and a farmer.
I like growing my own vegetables and cooking them. That in itself, to me, is enjoyable.
Pak has been a farmer for only 2 years, but she enjoys farming so much that she even started studying agriculture. She is currently harvesting cucumbers, carrots, and radishes. However, this isn't only for her benefit. She wants to share these organic vegetables with her neighbors.
It's not really about how much profit I make at the market. It's participating that really makes it worthwhile.
And it's from many others like Pak that the idea of holding an urban fresh food market was born. Marsh at Seoul Square is exactly that. Normally, the market is for farmers to sell their produce directly to consumers. But this time around, agricultural groups and companies also took part. Farmers also sell healthy dishes and products made with their own recipes. These one-of-a-kind experiences are what make the market so attractive. Healthy dishes are the most popular there.
That looks healthy.
Yeah, and this burger patty is actually made from soybeans.
That looks good.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like processed food. Many people are coming here to take part since word has spread that it is a place where people can enjoy good quality food.
And here is another interesting market, the Moon Market, which gets its name from the fact that it opens after the moon comes out. This venue is made possible by the residents, artists, and socially active businesses of the Yeongdong-Pogu district. The organic food section is the most popular here. This person is selling sesame seeds and
Sesame oil and perilla oil are some of the most commonly used ingredients in Korean cuisine. So I cultivated sesame organically. I'm happy that I can sell it here with confidence in the quality.
The Yeongdong-Pogu branch of the Consumer Cooperative and many urban farmers took part in it. There are also dishes made with environmentally friendly ingredients. What's different from the Marsh is that this market has many different programs people can take part in.
I thought it was fun being here. I also found it interesting that the people of Yeongdong-Pogu can get together and have fun here.
The Moon Market is no longer just a market, but in some ways, like a village festival.
Well, it was really interesting to see the marketplaces as well as the expo at City Hall. Now, you compare them to other marketplaces such as the ones in the Dongdaemun area and
Right.
also the Namdaemun area. The Moon Market or the Talpit Festival?
Yeah.
Or is it the
Talsijang.
Talsijang, right? How does that compare? What, are they open pretty much year-round?
They're open on the last Friday of every month. right about the time when the full moon rises in the sky.
Okay, so like thus the Moon Festival.
Yeah,
or
and
the
what makes
Moon
them
Market.
really interesting and unique is the Moon Festival. Not only does it offer locally grown produce and food, but they have musical performances, live acts. They have artists showcasing and selling their artwork, and they even have used goods for sale at fair prices. So it's kind of a very multifaceted market.
So it's a market, not a festival, right?
Right, but it feels a little bit like a festival.
right?
Yeah.
Bands playing and such.
And as you can see, people selling their homemade stuff
Right.
as well. It's a really cool place to be.
Right. I'm impressed with the marché at the Seoul Plaza. I understand that there's going to be a smaller version of it at the Maronier Park in Haewadong.
That's right, there will be. And that particular market, the Marsh, is going to be open on the second Sunday of every month, featuring produce grown by urban farmers right here in Seoul.
And talk about loving parents. The
Yeah.
store at the middle school. When I went to middle school, I mean, I had that store, but it was nothing. It had nothing close to what we saw in the video. It was hamburgers,
junk food?
Yes, junk food that fill up my stomach. But yeah, it's certainly good to see that parents are, stepping up to have their kids healthy.
Absolutely, and it actually took a lot more effort than you'd think at first. They had to raise money to form a cooperative, and they had to sign an agreement with the consumer cooperative to help them get the goods at 30% off. So it took a lot of effort, but I think it's absolutely worth it so that the youth can get started on healthy eating habits young.
A lot of people, they believe that maybe going organic or getting these really healthy, really good agricultural products might be a lot more expensive, but at the same time, there's a lot of farmers that are opening up direct shops. You can actually find these things for a fair price.
And the number of these stores is at 37, I understand now, but it's growing.
It is growing. Actually, the government started this healthy eating program in 2009, and since then there's a number of different initiatives that are going on, including something called the Breakfast Club, where students are able to get a healthy breakfast, fresh fruits and milk and stuff like that in the morning. And the shop, as we saw at the school, very incredible, impressive, and all those foods were personally selected and screened by the Seoul Agro Fisheries and Food Cooperative to make sure that they're high quality and healthy.
And that urban farm that we saw in the video, literally right around my neighborhood. And I have a neighbor who actually plants and grows her own vegetables, and I have the pleasure of having her vegetables, and it tastes really good.
So she shares with you
should be a farmer too. You should grow your own vegetables too, Hyungyung, and bring them
She's
for us.
luring me into, but I'm still waiting. I
Fresh
don't think I'm skilled
tomatoes.
enough yet.
Fresh tomatoes, I like that.
Yeah, but just plant them. No, there's much more than that.
Great story. Thank you, Jesse, for that.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Korea Today on this Monday.
All right, enjoy the rest of your warm day because it's going to be a hot one, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m.
See you tomorrow. Bye.